Now at 5:30 on Newswatch.
The Athens Community Center is offering veterans a chance to get fit for free.
President Obama presents his 2013 budget to the government.
And in sports, the Bobcats had a hard time on the road.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens. This is Newswatch.
The Athens Community Center is offering a special service for veterans. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Hoops.
And I'm Alyssa Hansen. Veterans can use the exercising facilities at the Community Center for free. They only have to show their IDs. With a report on how this came together, here's WOUB's Tina Kuna.
Kimberly Willard teaches a healthy heart class at the Veterans Outpatient Clinic. She contacted the Athens Community Center looking for new opportunities for veterans to exercise. She only hoped for a discount, but the Community Center offered to let veterans in for free.
At one time, they were active and they did serve our country, and it's just a way we could say thank you.
The Athens Outpatient Clinic treats almost 2,000 veterans, and there are more in the region. Exercising improves their physical and mental conditions.
It's very important for weight loss and to manage stress. It also can be beneficial in helping with depression and things like that.
The Community Center has already been offering free access for active military members and recruits for a few years. The center also has discounts for other certain members of the community.
Yeah, we try to do as much as possible and still maintain a healthy, cover our expenses, our revenue, and our budget. So it's a very interesting balance here and there, trying to work with all the different groups and folks.
The offer to veterans has only been in place for a few weeks. Both Kimberly Willard and the Community Center hope to get more veterans interested. Tina Kühne, WOUB News.
Veterans will receive a tour through the Community Center tomorrow to get to know the facilities.
An escaped felon is back in jail after being found in Marietta. 27-year-old Patrick Worstel is charged with being a fugitive from justice and possession of heroin. Deputies say 20-year-old Rhiannon Groston and 20-year-old Devan Wenzel are both charged with obstruction of justice and harboring a fugitive. Worstel had fled house arrest. All of the items stolen during a break-in have been returned to the Veterans Museum of the Mid-Ohio Valley. The Parkersburg Police Department says they have recovered all of bayonets, guns, and other historical relics. Police say a boy playing in an abandoned house found a duffel bag with the bayonets and knives. The uniforms and guns stolen were recovered at an earlier time. The museum director says the items will be cleaned and put back on display in the next couple of weeks.
Welcome to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Alex George. Currently in Athens, it is 36 degrees with mild winds coming from the south-southwest. We have humidity at 48% and our pressure is decreasing. Looking at temperatures across the region, it is 35 degrees in Columbus, 41 degrees in Ashland, and 36 degrees in Athens. Looking at our temperatures for tomorrow, Valentine's Day, we can expect to see some rain and snow. As temperatures increase throughout the day, we're going to see that snow shift to rain. So guys, as you head out, make sure you grab your snow boots and your umbrella.
But after this weekend and those frigid temperatures, 40 degrees, 38 degrees, that's really not looking all that bad.
No, not so bad. It's just the precipitation that I'm not a big fan of.
That's what you have umbrellas for, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Thanks, Alex. Ohio has placed cable barriers along 300 miles of highway, and the government is now considering adding more. Cables are cheaper and less damaging than guardrails or concrete barriers used to block cars from crossing over medians and driving into oncoming traffic. The Ohio Department of Transportation is set to review the possibility of adding cables to another 136 miles of highways and interstates. It costs about $95,000 per mile to install the cables. A transportation spokesman says the state will use crash date to decide which areas deserve added cost. Ohio officials are investigating whether the state's 101 rest stops could be privatized. The The Ohio Department of Transportation wants to use $2.85 million in federal research money to evaluate options for the rest stops. Rest stops are currently along Ohio Turnpike and interstate and not interstate areas. The department is considering a contract with KPMG Corporate Finance. Governor Kasich says leasing the rest areas could close the gap in the transportation budget. Ohio currently pays between $30 and $50 million annually to maintain the facilities.
Gas prices have dropped by more than a dime in Ohio after 2 straight weeks of increases. The average gas price is $3.33 according to AAA. This time last year, gas prices were closer to $3. Oil prices have been relatively steady for the last few months, but analysts believe prices will continue to drop because of expected weak international economic growth. The first performer for the Ohio State Fair has been announced. The first confirmed act is singer and Nickelodeon star Victoria Justice. She will take the stage on August 4th, and tickets to the show will include fair admission. The rest of the acts will be announced in the coming months. The fair will take place from July 25th to August 5th in Columbus this year. Last year's performers included Meatloaf, the OJs, Brad Paisley, and Blake Shelton.
Ohio farmers, businesses, chefs, and consumers are coming together this weekend to rebuild the state's farming community and farming process.
The state's largest sustainable food and farm conference starts on Saturday, and coming up, we'll talk to one of the speakers for the event.
And President Barack Obama unveils his budget plan, next on Newswatch. Copies of President Barack Obama's 2013 budget arrived on Capitol Hill this morning. Now, it needs to get approved by Congress. But critics are already tearing into a White House plan to let the Bush-era cuts expire. This would make people making more than $250,000 a year pay more in taxes. Obama's budget aims to cut $4 trillion off the deficit within a decade. The cuts would come from government spending and higher taxes for the wealthy. And the federal government isn't the only one looking to make cuts in its budget. NASA presented its 2013 budget today, and it looks like NASA will have a lot less cash to work with next year. The space agency is looking to cut about $300 million in its tour of the planets. That means 2 missions to Mars may have to be scrapped. Still, NASA's budget is expected to be around $18 billion. That cash will be used to keep the space station running and to build a new rocket to take humans to Mars eventually.
Officials say they have not yet determined a cause for Whitney Houston's death on Saturday. The LA coroner's office has completed the official autopsy. There are several speculations of what could be the cause, including drowning, but the coroner's office is still waiting on test results before making an official statement.
I had a conversation with the family at the hotel, and at no time did I discuss prescription meds or the drowning issue. I don't know if the detectives discussed that with the family, but no, we have not released any information like that. The case is still pending. We're waiting for tox, histopathology, and toxicology, and the investigation's ongoing.
Winter says Houston's body was found within 1 hour of her death. The coroner's office should receive the lab results in 6 to 8 weeks. And in her hometown today, Houston is being mourned at her family church. A memorial started up outside New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, New Jersey, as members gathered to honor her. As a young girl, Houston sang solos in the church's choir. Her mother was a gospel singer and served as director of music at the church for 54 years.
There has been relief in the stock markets today as Greece moved closer to getting an international bailout and avoiding a debt default. Before dawn, Greek lawmakers approved a new round of budget cuts. But riots began outside the parliament building. People were yelling and saying that they had been pushed by their limits by salary losses, job losses, and tax hikes. Greece needs the bailout before March 20th so that it can make a $19 billion bond repayment due on that date. CNN reporter Matthew Chance is in Athens and has the latest on this economic turmoil.
Well, it's much quieter in Athens today. The emergency teams we've seen clearing up the debris of the protests from Sunday night. I think it's true that the scale of the violence, where tens of thousands of people were seen clashing with riot police, throwing petrol bombs, throwing rocks, getting tear gas and stun grenades in return, really did shock many people in this city. But I think it was also a reflection of the real level of anger that many Greeks feel towards the government as they were debating and have now passed those austerity measures. Remember, for the past 2 years, Greeks have endured austerity. They've seen their standards of living really decline to almost unprecedentedly low levels. And the last thing they want now are more austerity cuts to come and affect their public services, to reduce wages, to see job cuts. But that's exactly what they're being asked now to withstand. And there's a great deal of anger about it. And I think when European leaders look at what happened last night and this violence and the level of resentment, I think they're going to draw a very clear message from it, is that it's one thing passing these austerity measures in the Parliament. It's going to be quite another getting the people of Greece to accept them. Matthew Chance, CNN Athens.
Greece still has to overcome more hurdles this week before the bailout is assured. Eurozone finance ministers will meet on Wednesday to either approve or deny the $170 billion package. The bailout will then need to be approved by the German parliament and private bondholders involved in the deal.
Health officials admit to overreacting to a health scare at a New Zealand airport. They leapt into action after it was suspected that over 70 Japanese students who just landed had contracted an unknown strain of the flu. The plane was stopped early this morning before the actual diagnosis was determined. The students had contracted a mild viral illness, just a little more severe than the common cold. A 5.8 magnitude earthquake struck Costa Rica this morning. The quake's epicenter was about 50 miles south of the capital city. A U.S. Geological Survey estimated a higher initial magnitude for the quake before final numbers were determined.
The Ohio Ecological Food and Farm Association's 33rd annual conference takes place this weekend, and we'll discuss how we can reclaim our food independence. The event draws more than 1,000 attendees and has sold out in advance the past 2 years. Tonight we have J.B. King of Albany here with us, and he's one of the speakers for the event. Mr. King, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
First of all, just tell us a little about your farm. How big is it, and is it ran by your family?
It's a family-run farm, rather small in today's society of farmers, but we have about 50 acres. We raise livestock, basically, some crops, raising pigs and poultry. We direct market all that, mostly here in the Athens area.
So when did you begin farming, and were you afraid you weren't going to be able to make it?
Well, we began farming in the early 90s full-time. I'd farmed with my other jobs before that all my life, really. But yeah, it was a tough decision, and it's not an easy job, and it's not easy to make it in today's economy on the farms.
Going forward to this weekend a little bit, your operation is called Niche Pork Production, Processing, and Marketing. What does that mean?
Well, the niche pork is, our pork is different because of the way we raise it. It's all of our pork's raised outside, not in confinement buildings. We feed what we consider better feed than the mainstream agriculture does, as well as we process a little differently in a small family processing plant, not ours, but in the community, a few miles away. That making that niche and trying to provide a better product than you would typically buy at a grocery store, that kind of covers the niche part.
How is this different from the other farms in Ohio or perhaps the Midwest?
Well, most hog operations now are owned by corporations. There are still a few independent producers in the large side that have a real hard time dealing with staying in business. The niche pork that we do allows us to stay in business compared to the integrators. Most hogs are raised on a contract, and it's the only way you can sell your hogs is to contract grow for somebody else. So, and like I said, everything on our farm is outside. Most of the other farms are confinement farms.
Now, do you have a farming philosophy with the Ohio Ecological Farm and Food and Farm Association?
Well, we try to be real sustainable. We try to do things that will, not only are we doing them today, we can do them several years down the road. A lot of the people in the organization try to work without chemicals, without drugs. We do the same. It's trying to provide sustainable agriculture, something that will sustain for years. Not sure that the mainstream will be able to do that. There's going to have to be some changes there, I believe.
Now, is this a good time to get into pig farming? You mentioned to me earlier you had poultry too. Is this a good time to get into that kind of business?
Anytime's a good time. We need some younger folks to step up and let some of us older folks show them how to do this and how to survive in this sustainable world, and look forward to doing that.
What are some other topics you're going to be talking about this weekend?
Most of mine will just be covering what we do on the farm with the pork, how to tell somebody else how they can do what we're doing, find the markets, find somebody to process your pork, and to get the pork raised so that you can make a profit. And then we'll be enjoying the rest of the conference, a wide variety of things that pertain to sustainable agriculture, organic agriculture.
Well, Mr. King, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Glad to be here.
On Wall Street today, stocks rose as Greece approved new measures to ensure the funds needed to avoid default. Investors gained confidence in the market since there won't likely be any global economic repercussions.
Coming up on Newswatch, we'll talk about the winter weather that is heading your way. We'll take a look at the Valentine's Day forecast, and we'll take a look at my extended forecast. Stay tuned. Currently in Athens, it is 36 degrees with mild winds coming from the south-southwest. Today we had a high pressure system, so we didn't see any precipitation. Our humidity currently is 48%. Looking at temperatures across the nation, it is 35 degrees in Columbus, 34 in Lancaster, and 36 degrees in Athens. Now, today we had this high pressure system, so we didn't see much precipitation, but looking down here into the plains, we've got a low pressure system coming through tonight, and into tomorrow we're going to see some precipitation. And I'm talking some snow in the morning and rain throughout the day. Overnight tonight, 26 degrees. The snow is going to come in around 4 a.m. Mild winds, 3 to 5 miles per hour, and we're not going to see much snow, maybe an inch. Overnight tonight, 28 degrees in Columbus, 26 degrees in Athens, and 30 degrees in Ashland. Tomorrow, 42 degrees will be our high. As the temperatures increase throughout the day, that snow is going to shift to rain. So, like I said, make sure you grab your rain boots and your snow boots and your umbrella. Throughout the day, I guess the temperatures will be getting a lot warmer. So just be ready to expect almost anything. Tomorrow, 38 degrees in Columbus, 42 degrees in Athens, and 44 degrees in Ashland. Now, coming Wednesday, we have a high pressure system coming in again. So 46 degrees in Athens, 46 degrees in Parkersburg, and 48 in Huntington. So we're going to see some warmer temperatures once that low pressure system gets out of our way. Now, today, it was a high of 36 and a low of 25. The average is 43 degrees, and the average is 25 degrees, so we were right in there. The record high was 72, set in 1990, and in 1899, it was -8. Ooh, no thank you. Our sun rose this morning at 7:23 a.m., and the sun will set at 6:02 p.m. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast, we have that low pressure system, like I said, tomorrow, so we will see some precipitation. But on Wednesday, we have some clear skies. But then again, on Thursday, we're going to see more precipitation. Going into early next week, we're going to see clear skies and warmer temperatures for February.
Really looking forward to those warmer temperatures, but it looks like if you're going out to dinner tomorrow night for Valentine's Day, like you said, you're definitely going to need a jacket and probably, depending on what time it is, an umbrella and rain boots as well.
Absolutely. The temperatures will be increasing around 1 o'clock, so that's when we're going to see the switch from snow to rain. So definitely, if you're out for dinner, grab that umbrella.
All right, thanks a lot, Alex.
Yep.
Well, speaking of umbrellas, it was raining on the Bobcats parade this week, and on the hardwood, the Bobcats didn't have such luck. Carter Rodriguez joins us now for sports.
Yeah, they continue to struggle on the road, and but also high school playoffs are kicking off, and the boys brackets have been released, and the girls are tipping off right now. Also, the Ohio Bobcats continued their struggles away from the Convo. Next on Newswatch. The Ohio men's basketball team had a rough road trip, closing their two-game stint away from the Convo 0-2. The Bobcats dropped their first game last Wednesday against an 11-14 Toledo squad and then lost Saturday night to the MAC West leading Eastern Michigan Eagles. The Cats just couldn't get it going on Saturday night, and they only hit 31% from the field and an even worse 23% from three. Ohio point guard DJ Cooper in particular struggled from the field, attempting 10 three-pointers, but he only hit 3 of them. Both teams struggled early on, and it was an ugly 27-17.5 in favor of the Eagles. But in the second half, the Bobcats turned up the heat offensively, but unfortunately, so did Eastern Michigan. The Eagles just didn't allow the Cats to close the gap, and they widened the lead to 13 by the end of the game to take the win, 68-55. Moving over to the women, though, the Ohio women's basketball team defeated Ball State 76-57 Saturday at the Convo. This marked the first time since 2008-2009 season that Ohio has won 11 games. The Cats shot an impeccable 60% during the victory and also dominated from distance, shooting 40% on the afternoon. Forward Tanisha Benson led the Bobcats with 19 points and was one of 4 Bobcats to finish in double figures. Portia Harris, Siobhan Robinson, and Mariah Baird each contributed to the high-scoring affair with 10, 11, and 12 points respectively. The Ohio track and field team was in action over the weekend, and it was a record-breaking affair. Julio Curso broke Ohio University's 5K record with a time of 16:05:59, which smashed the previous record by nearly 17 seconds, so congrats, Julie. The Ohio University wrestling team dropped a 36-3 decision to West Virginia Friday at the Convo on senior night. Prior to the match, Ohio recognized their graduating seniors, Darren Boeing, Casey Gordon, Andy Hartshorn, and Nick Perdue. The Bobcats got off to a rough start by dropping their first 7 matches, but Ohio's lone bright spot came when redshirt freshman Harrison Hightower picked up his 17th victory of the season. Members of the Ohio football team took time this past Saturday morning to serve pancakes at Applebee's. This fundraiser benefited the Big Brother Big Sisters program of Athens County. In addition to serving pancakes, Ohio football players bussed tables, washed dishes, and sat those who attended the fundraiser. It's nice to see them giving back. Tournament brackets were announced Sunday night for boys high school basketball, and all 5 Athens County teams were able to pull favorable draws. Top seed Nelsonville York will await the winner of the 8-9 River Valley Crooksville contest, and the Athens Bulldogs drew a 7 seed and will play 2-seeded Logan Elm. In other notable draws in Athens County, struggling Alexander will get a chance to avenge a January 28th loss to Meggs. And then finally, Federal Hawking will play Southeastern, and Trimble matches up with Southern. So we should be seeing some quality matchups early on for the boys. Now, those are the draws for the boys, but playoff action is already kicking off for the girls. The Trimble Lady Tomcats and the Federal Hawking Lady Lancers are playing back-to-back in a doubleheader. The 9-seeded Tomcats are currently squaring off with Miller for the right to face juggernaut Waterford in the next round. That game tipped off at 5, and the Lancers play right after, and they'll square off with Sims Valley, who has been struggling as of late. If the Lancers can take the win, they'll play Eastern on the 16th. But if you just can't get enough TVC action, check out Hardwood Heroes, which covers all 5 Athens County boys and girls basketball teams and provides the best coverage in the area. The show airs Sunday nights at 6:30, and if you miss that, it re-airs every Monday through Wednesday at 8 p.m. And if you still can't make those times, you can always check the show online Monday nights. And be sure to head to woub.org/heroes to check all the latest recaps.
Well, Carter, we just heard an update that Trimble is actually down to Miller at halftime.
Yep, at halftime, Trimble took the early lead, but Miller clawed back. They're up 20-14.5. It'd be good to see Dave Richards' kids get a win. They've gone through a tough season, but you got to hope he'll pull them back up.
I mean, it's disappointing after the season they had last year. They had a good season last year. It's just so disappointing to see the girls this year.
Well, unfortunately, they lost their 2 best players, Taylor Savage and Jesse Spears. I mean, I personally covered the Trimble Tomcats for a couple years, so I know just how valuable those 2 were. And you can't replace them overnight, but they've got some young building blocks, and Dave Richards is going to have those girls playing well again.
I'm going to throw you on the spot here. Prediction, Federal Hockey Sims Valley. Who do you think is going to pull it out?
Oh, it's got to be Federal Hawking. Jeff McKibben's got those girls playing very well.
Great, thanks, Carter.
And stay tuned tonight on WOUB.
Here's a look at what's coming up next on your public television station. With Valentine's Day just hours away here in the United States, apples with patterns and words expressing love are already popular in an eastern Chinese province. The love patterns and characters are grown onto the apple's surface by their growers, who covered the fruits in bags cut with patterns. The covered parts of the apples remain pale yellow, while exposed parts turn to red under the sun. Now, despite these higher prices, the pattern apples have attracted numerous customers, especially young people who like special and romantic gifts. We don't really see much of those kind of gifts, though, in the United States, but that's something unique and interesting.
Absolutely.
So Alex George joins us now with a final look at our Valentine's Day forecast in the week ahead.
Well, overnight tonight, we have some pretty cool temperatures with snow along the way. 28 degrees in Columbus, 29 in Portsmouth, and 28 in Gallipolis. Now for tomorrow, if you're off for Valentine's Day, it's going to be 42 degrees for your high. In the morning, we're going to see some snow showers, but around noon and 1 o'clock, that's when that snow is going to move to rain. So just be prepared for that as you're on your way out. Taking a look at your extended forecast, Tuesday, like I said, precipitation. Wednesday, there's going to be a high pressure system moving in, so clearer skies. But we're not going to see those clear skies and those warmer temperatures until Saturday and Sunday, a high of 44 degrees on Saturday. So just enjoy your Valentine's Day, whether it brings rain or snow.
Great, thanks Alex.
And that does it for our broadcast on this 13th of February 2012. Thanks for watching. For Alex George, Carter Rodriguez, and Alyssa Hansen, I'm Rachel Hoops.
You can get the latest news and weather on the WOUB radio network, and you can view our program anytime online at WOUB.org. Have a great night.